Okay, so we have some questions
Hmm.
which are already posted in the Google form that we had circulated around.
Yes. And we will be answering those questions through the presentation today.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Because the questions are like we want to know more about how to design your
Hmm.
presentations beautifully.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Yes.
So I was just wondering because whether people thought that we are going to cancel this session or something, so that they put up, but that was not the case. And moreover, so advance booking has helped. So
Hmm.
the picture is on.
Yes.
So that is one thing. Also, if there are any other questions, like which,
Hmm.
well, the reason why I'm bringing it up is that I expect all of you guys to uh, communicate to us so that we can definitely try and help you. I have used this analogy before, but I repeat again. So this whole workshop is like a format of a buffet. So where things are laid down and you have to go and pick up from there. So it's not like you order and get it on the table. So the reason is that whatever we have to share with you has to be like communicated to us. So only then we can come up with answers. Okay. There is no power in my building depending on the laptop battery. Let's see how long we can. Okay. So
Hmm.
we should start as early as we can. Sandeep Sharma may lose a lot of content otherwise. You can switch to a mobile phone
Hmm.
afterwards. Let's see. Okay, so is there any other question that you have about the last session? If not, we'll just go ahead with the next section.
Hmm.
I will wait for a minute if anyone has
Hmm.
a question. If not, then I will.
So, Professor Samir, I was having related to chunking, but when I saw that video,
I can't hear you, sir.
I said I was having a question related to video chunking, but when I read the details, I got the clarity. So I have that question, put it over there. So there is no need to answer for that. Yeah.
Fine. In between the week, I got a couple of calls from people asking about access to the file that we
Hmm.
had posted. So we replied to them saying that
Yeah,
you
it's
don't
there
have
on
to,
VLE. So for information
yeah,
to
it
all,
will be
if you
taken
go
from
on to
VLP.
VLE, there is a
So
folder
yeah,
called
that was
VLCU.
done. In fact, when I read Sir Juhika Devi's mail, I thought it is again the similar one. But then I saw it had an attachment. Instead of asking for a permission on attachment, it already had attachment. So I was again kind of confused. But yes. So let's begin. I am
Hmm.
very happy to introduce Daisy Wadhwa to you,
Hmm.
and who is a professor and head of the Department of Computer Science and Applications at Guru Nanak Khalsa College for Women at Ludhiana, Punjab. And I have been interacting with her for the last almost 2 years now. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, yes.
she was a topper of the course, which is the same title as this course, Designing
Hmm.
Learner-Centric MOOCs on Swayam. And that's how I came in contact. And since then, she has been one of the very active participants of the learner-centric MOOC model applications at various levels, right from conducting teacher training programs for various institutions, as a resource person in various faculty development programs across the country. She has been also co-instructor in couple of MOOCs that we have created, and she has also developed a special training program for training the discussion forum moderators in collaboration with other colleagues of our team, which has been very successfully implemented also. So yeah, so she is a person with multiple hats, and one of the hats which I am very proud of, that she has taken it from my hands, is the visual design part, because I never expected a computer science teacher to come and help me with visual design part of it. So I was pretty excited when she started with this, and so much so that she has made this topic of her own now. So that way she can really master it. So whenever we have a problem on any slide design in the group, the person to go to is Daisy. So I think with this introduction, it should be good enough for you, Daisy, to start your
Yeah.
session.
Yes. And I am joined today by Ambali also. Ambali Joseph from Kerala. She is an electrical engineer. She teaches in an engineering college. And both of us owe our ardent interest in visual design to Dr. Samir. And so let us start and see how, what is the role of presentations in case of MOOC design, and what is the purpose of including this topic today for the FDP. So as MOOC instructors, all of us will be recording our videos. And in majority of cases, in our videos, the presentations are going to help us in conveying our ideas to the audience. So in case if the presentations are well designed, then it is going to kind of build an affinity with the audience, which in our case is going to be our learners, as well as it is also going to project the MOOC instructor as a brand with a good design. And at the same time, if the presentation is not well designed, then it can become disengaging, disattracting for the audience, no matter what good quality of content you have. So with this need of the session today, let us see what are we going to do today. So we have structured our session into two parts. In the first part, we will talk about the visual design principles, which can help us in designing effective presentations. These principles that we are going to discuss today are generic. They are applicable to any presentation software that you use for designing your presentations, be it PowerPoint, Google Slides, or any other software. So after understanding these principles, we will also look at certain examples, certain samples through which we will try to understand these principles in more detail. In the second part of the session, we'll have an activity in which we will evaluate the sample slides based on certain rubric criteria. So with this, let us start with an activity. As teachers, we have all designed a number of presentations for different purposes, for our students or for presenting in conferences or seminars. And we have also faced problems while designing the presentation slides. So can you just ponder on the question, think of the biggest problem that you have faced while designing presentations for your purpose. The biggest problem that you have faced. You can unmute and answer, or you can share in the chat also. The biggest problem that you have faced while designing presentation slides. Okay, what can be the initial slides and sequence of slides? Sandeep sir is saying this. Okay. How much content to show? So how much content to show? Okay, correct. We talked about chunking also previously. How to make it more attractive? Okay, Dharna is saying this. Making it creative, Arpita. Slide suiting my theme of the topic. Okay, Dr. Richa is saying this. Content arrangement within one slide. Synchronization of thoughts into words with interesting flow. Oh, Dr. Rohit, that's a very interesting response. Dr. Ramana is saying whether to follow the rule of 21 or not. Oh, okay. So, okay. So what? Not more than 21 words. Oh, we'll have something related to that also today. putting statistical questions, design and color, and how to make it presentable and attractive. Yes. So majority of us are actually facing these problems. This one was the most common one, segmenting information, deciding the how do we actually make sure that there is one topic per slide, or how are we going to add the information into the slides. We had something related, one response related to statistical data also, inserting charts from third-party apps. Okay. And okay, design and color also is there. So we have kind of listed some of the major problems, and what are we going to do today is see how can we tackle these problems. So in this regard, I have a scenario for all of you. The scenario says that suppose you have given a classroom activity to your students where you want your students to actually create a presentation, right? Okay, we are still getting the responses of the previous one. Dr. Vinod is saying putting the right visuals, correct. So, okay, now let us focus on this scenario where as a teacher, suppose we have given a group of students an activity in which they have to prepare a presentation. So you have to quickly think of and kind of summarize the steps that the students usually follow for creating a presentation. So you have given them a topic, they know the topic, now they have to prepare a presentation on that topic. So what are they going to do? What are they going to do first, and then second, and then third? I too can recall my students standing outside the presentation room and still on the laptop making changes, and within the group also arguing with each other that this is left, this is still not added, what to do with this slide, why it is here. So can you think why that kind of a situation students usually are in? Like what kind of a process do they follow for creating presentations? Let us just think about the scenario. Okay. One is the flow of agenda, Dr. Rohit is saying. So breaking off the topic into subtopics, theme, heading, subtopics, graphs, charts, tables, okay, everything together. Title of the presentation, theme, batch, okay, chunk out major topics, analyze audience. Okay, planning, outline, okay, fine. But even if, have you seen your students do kind of these things? The one that I usually face, where my students are just standing outside and still making changes. Sometimes they come and tell also, madam, this is left, or this is still not done, or this got jumbled. Okay, the intro, theme, and then narrowing down with examples. Indrani ma'am is saying this. Okay, so lots of spelling and grammatical mistakes. Yes, important pointers that will be covered, and then they start. Choosing, Vinod sir is saying choosing the background as font colors matter a lot from the reader perspective. Yes, so sometimes what we have noticed is that what students actually start doing is, let us see what they actually, what should be done, and what do they actually start doing. Look for similar presentations also, prepare the body of presentation. Okay, so normally as the process, we saw the points also coming for this process, where we saw that initially when we start making the presentation, that we need to just decide the content that is going into the presentation. We need to plan out the presentation. Then we go on to the execution part, that once we have what has to go into the presentation, then we decide the flow of the presentation. And we do that chunking part, dividing it into bullets, deciding the graphics. And then we come to the impress part of the presentation, where we decide the template that has to be used, what color scheme has to be followed, what is the font to be used. Usually what students do is that they directly jump to the impress part of the entire process. What they do is, we also saw that part. They kind of choose the background and font colors and all, right? And in this case, I am sure you must have seen these students, if you give the project, one of them, once they know the project title, one of them will just open up the laptop and start finding the template. And then after the template is found, then they start putting in the content into the template. And if the thing is not fitting in, what they'll do is they edit and then re-edit and modify. And then this process, it keeps on going. So the main problem is that if the students miss out on the other two parts, that is the plan and execute, and they directly jump to the impress part, then the entire process gets jumbled. We as teachers are very good at this process because we plan a lesson, so we know how to plan, how to decide the content of the presentation, how to finally chunk it into parts, or decide what has to go in which chunk. And then we kind of need to decide on the color scheme and then the design of the presentation. So the main purpose of this discussion is that we as teachers already know, but we need to convey this to our students also. In this regard, now what we are going to do is, based on the process that we have just seen, we will now see next slide, a sample slide. And let us evaluate that slide on the basis of this entire process that we have seen. So let us see. We have this slide. This is a sample slide that we have created, which is there on the right-hand side. The slide is talking about the 3 main steps for buying a domain name. So this is what we have come out with. So you have to identify one problem with the slide, which is there on the right-hand side. One problem with this slide design. Okay. We have Dharna is very quick, too much content, different fonts. Dr. Richa, can you also spot the number of fonts which are there? We have different fonts. How many number of fonts are there?
Three at least. Three at least.
May not be a very good question, but okay, can you identify one good thing about this slide?
Okay, one good thing and one bad thing also. Too wordy, less usable area. Okay. Lot of lines to read, looks clumsy, lot of content. Okay, good thing is it is easily readable. Background is too many instructions, full of words, nothing to explain. Bullet numbering is good. Okay, so bullet numbering is good is one good thing. It is simple, informative. Color of title and subheading is separate. Pointers, okay. Good layout. Bad. Good layout, but bad formatting. So we have two opposite things also. Points are elaborated but it is dull also. Okay. Heading and content are of different size of the fonts. Okay. Okay, so I think we are really good at spotting things, all of us. And the answers are
bold. Sumedh Lokhande, can you explain what is the problem exactly with bold? Elaborate.
Point 2 can be number 1.
You just mentioned bold. So when the words are bold, people can focus on them.
Achha, so that's a good point. That correct or the appropriate ones are bold.
Yeah, important words or sentences are bold.
Yeah, great.
Okay. Oh, very, very good response. Professor Ramanna is saying content could have been put in images of 3 steps, one above the other. What if we do this and show everybody. Professor Ramana, if we show this to everybody, whatever you have just mentioned. So basically
Ma'am,
what
am I
we
audible?
had, the problem was...
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I was just trying to say that instead of writing all these, the image of a step, how a step look like one by one, and write the same thing in that, maybe using fewer words concisely, then it will attract the attention of the student. He will also remember well.
Okay. We have another response from Jennifer, who is saying that the content is too much. Yes. On a lighter note, we have a text attack here. And there could have been a flow chart. Yes, that is a very, very good suggestion. Unbold the sentences. Okay. So let us try to, what we have done is we have just tried to include color contrast is fine. Oh, yes. Yes, color contrast is good. So what we have tried to do is, one suggestion that came from Dr. Ramana, we have tried to use tables in order to structure the content. We have also reduced the number of fonts which are being used in the slide. Okay, so are we okay with the background of the slide background that we had earlier also? Are we okay with the slide background? We saw some responses regarding the background earlier. Are we okay with the background? Okay, Dr. Vinod is saying yes. No, okay. No and yes both. Light color, white color, background is okay. Okay. But is that background is basically also an image. Is it conveying any meaning, or is it going to help in some way conveying the idea of buying a domain name? Is it related to the content that we have here? Okay, the steps could have been presented in the chart form also. Yes. This is only one way of what we are trying to do is we are only trying to show how initially if we would have planned it in a better manner and executed, only one step we have tried to show. This is not the ultimate design which we are seeing on the screen. This is not the final ultimate thing. This is just one way of doing this. So only in case of the background, okay, faint logo of the company presenting, okay, of the company. Can we have the logo entirely? If the content is going to be there, how is the logo going to be visible? That is also another question that we have. Okay, so, okay, let me share one small tiny anecdote or another analogy basically. So normally whenever, and I'm sure you must be knowing also, that in case if an author is writing a book, and if author introduces a particular character or an object in one chapter, then always there is a purpose of using that object in some other part of the book. And if that object or the character is not to be used anywhere, then there is no purpose of including that character anywhere. So in the same way, this background basically, according to me, is not adding any value to the process of buying a domain name. So even if we go without that background, still we'll be able to survive. The content is good enough, and then we'll be able to make with the design. We have another, Dr. Priya is saying content can be made more concise. Okay, let us try doing that. Let us come to another part where we execute and make the content slightly lesser, and maybe something like this, where what we have actually done is we have cut down the clutter. We have also reduced the text from the initial one and have used, we have the numbers also. So this is one way, just one way of representing the information. Yes. Okay. So, oh, we have suggestions also. Choose can be represented by hand, search can be represented by eye, and register can be represented by fingers holding a pen. Oh, maybe we have done something similar already and we are ready with that. Okay, we have another similar activity. Let us see that. We have this slide. Now what you have to identify is one change that you would like to make to the slide design. We have a slide which is talking, slide is again on the right hand side, where the slide is talking about William Shakespeare, and a very brief summary of William Shakespeare is just below the picture. One change, okay, text should be justified, okay. Dr. Anshu is saying this, box text in light blue color, okay. The pic is, okay, something, dragged, okay. Yes. Any other change? Are we okay with the text? Any other suggestions? One change? Okay, sitting straight, list the masterpiece. Format needs to be changed. Okay, picture on the left. Picture size, if it is okay, I'll have to shift it towards the left and summary on the right. Okay, better color. Okay, font style. One only, see the number of fonts is only one. I think one font is used, only one font. So proper alignment between picture and words in 2 columns. Write up is too clumsy. Okay. So let us see. Aspect ratio is distorted. This is really very good response from Gaurav. And the write-up can be in the pointer format. Yes. So these are very, very good suggestions that we have got. So let us just, information could be segregated. I think the responses are really, really good. So let us just point out whatever you have all suggested. So this is not properly scaled. The image you mentioned is out, the aspect ratio of the image is not correct. And this point we all missed. The image attribution is also not there. We just cannot pick up images from the internet and make them own, right? And we also said that too much text with the improper alignment. This is the initial responses, the first responses that we got. So just considering the suggestions that we have got through the chat, we have kind of tried to incorporate some of these suggestions in the design. Let us see what we have got. So this is one. Again, this is one design, not the ultimate one, only one way of representing the information in a more appealing manner. So what we have done is we have separated the title, the heading from the content using these separators, section dividers. This has been done in order to add more breathing space into the design so that we have more blank areas, more areas. We have used certain these symbols also. And the content that we had regarding this one, regarding this, the number of plays, sonnets, everything else. Okay, that thing has been represented using these graphics that we have. We have also added, this is a Creative Commons image that we have taken from Wikimedia Commons and provided the attribution also. Yes. So with this, we come to a set of guidelines which are related to, based on the discussions that we have just had, we are going to just list down the guidelines which are related to the font and the text that you have in your presentations. So the guideline says that we need to use minimum fonts in the presentation. Usually we use 2 fonts in order to distinguish between the heading section and the body section of our presentation. And also ensure that you follow the same font throughout your presentation. So for all the slides which are there in the presentation, try to use the same. It is important to use, in fact, the same font for all the headings and the body. One uniformity has to be there. Use options like bold, italic, underline in order to emphasize the keywords which are there in your presentation. And again, in this point also, we will try to include uniformity. That if we are highlighting the key elements in the presentation, say using the bold feature, then we should use the same thing throughout the presentation so that the audience who is seeing our presentation gets that feel of the consistency. We had a question regarding the, I saw a response regarding the alignment of the Shakespeare slide that we had. So for the presentations, we usually prefer the left alignment like we have for this presentation. And why do we prefer the left alignment? Because it increases the readability of the text. That justified text that we have is usually for the printed documents, the reports that we have, the thesis that we have, books which are there, or the newspapers that which are there. So for the printed documents, justified because they have to bind that thing from one side. So in that case, the alignment is justified alignment is preferred. But yeah.
Especially when we have columns, then justified text makes sense. And also for long piece of text, justified makes sense. For less number of words, justified doesn't make sense. What doesn't make sense is, again, subjective sentence, but you can try it out by offering it, and then you'll see some unwanted spaces between your words. That's it.
Yes. And another important thing is that most of the softwares that we use for designing our presentations, they have this grid feature which is there under the view menu. We can utilize this feature for the proper placement of the objects which are there on the screen. Usually for the Google Slides, if I just show you now, for the Google Slides, if we try to move an object, otherwise under the view menu, we have this guides option to show the guides, and we get these grid lines, and we can directly. Otherwise also you can see these red lines which are coming. So these red lines are basically the grid lines that help us in the proper placement. So in case if I have to align it according to the grid line, so this is how we are going to do, which is there. So we can add grid lines for the proper placement, which are kind of very helpful. Another thing is, please see this green symbol that we have on the top of the slide. So you will see this green symbol on all the guideline slides that we have in the presentation. This we have added as a visual clue for the guideline slides. So we can, you can also utilize color features or add certain symbols in your presentation in order to indicate the key slides of your presentation. Okay, with this, we have a reflection spot for all of you. We have two images. This is again an extension of the typography features that we are talking about. There are two images on the screen. Both of them are talking about Euclidean distance. We have same content for image A and image B. Same content, same font size, everything is same. The only difference is in the font which is used. So you have to choose which image is more readable. Oh, we already have a number of answers before I reach to the chat. B. Okay. So the B, image B is more readable. For image B, what we have done is we have used a...
Can you spot like why it is readable?
Why is more readable?
Actually, to tell you frankly, the font sizes are same. No.
Same.
Exactly. Yeah, the font size is same. What's the difference? Font type.
Font type.
What's the difference? Font is more and round and clear. Okay. Yeah. Size of alphabets are same. Yeah, exactly. Not use of stretchable font. There is no stretchability here by the way. But yeah, Sandeep has put it up in slightly very what you can say, a very clean words that the size of the alphabets are same thickness. Yeah, so that is a good point. Maybe Daisy, go to the next slide.
Yeah. So what is Sandeep sir talking about is basically we have two types of fonts, two types of font families. So one is the serif font and the other font family is sans serif. So the first statement that we have written is actually in the serif font, and the second statement has been written in the sans serif font. If we carefully look at the alphabets which are there. For this I in the serif font, what we can see is that it has strokes at the end, but the other one for the sans serif, the strokes are not there. And another difference if we see is the A. See, this A has thicker this side on the right hand side, but the inner side is thinner. And if we look at the E here, at the serif, this inner line is thinner as compared to the other part. So these serif fonts, they have unequal width or the unequal size or the thickness of the characters. Whereas the sans serif fonts, they have equal thickness. Just have a look at the S that we have here. There are no strokes and the thickness is also same. So normally for the presentation slides that we make, it is always preferable to use sans serif fonts like Calibri, Leto, Roboto, because they are easier to read when they are projected on a screen. The other font, that is the sans serif fonts, like Times New Roman, they are useful when you are reading from a printed document. When you have to read smaller characters, but you can still bring it closer to your eyes and then read. So in that case, we make use of the serif fonts. But for the presentation slides, it is always advisable to make use of the sans serif fonts, especially in case if you are, say, presenting to the audience in a large room, in an auditorium. So the type of font that you use should be visible to the audience who is sitting at the far end of the auditorium also. And another reason, in case of, as a MOOC instructor, you will be catering to a diverse audience. And you might also cater to the audience which has visual impairments. So for educational content, it is very important that whatever you have presenting to the audience, it should be clearly readable and it should not merge with the background. So in that case, our suggestion is that you make use of the sans serif font. In case if you want to use serif fonts, there is no harm. It can be used for headings, but still the type of font should be clearly visible. So with this, we have another small activity. So with related to the type of fonts, we have this statement, how to lend emphasis. Suppose I am writing this statement either on the paper or on the slide. And what I want to do is I want to highlight the word emphasis. Right? I want to highlight the word emphasis. Either it is written on the paper or suppose you have a presentation slide and you want to highlight a particular word. I want to here highlight the word emphasis. So how I can go about that? Oh, we have bold, okay, color change and underline bold, okay.
Okay, you
underline.
Can. Yeah, we can start with the bold because they are saying bold.
Okay. So we'll do bold. We
and
got italics. Italics also, I think.
Okay. And
underline was the most common option. We can capitalize also. And color change also I saw. Mirror image. Oh, okay. Color change. So now we saw all the options that can be used for providing emphasis to the text. So what happens if we do this? What actually we have done is we have made the text bold also, italic, underlined. We have not capitalized, but we have changed the color. Okay. Sandeep sir's answers are too good. No, there is no need to emphasize when it is too obvious. Helps to stress on certain points or aspects. Okay.
It's a overemphasize, right?
Gaurav is saying too much of good thing also hurts sometimes.
Yeah, I remember one kind of example that Professor Phatak, my teacher from IIT Bombay, used to say. So he was, that is the time when there were no computers. By the way, he teaches in a computer science department, but that time it was called electrical engineering department. And they had a exam. And the papers were typed on a typewriter and then cyclo-styled and made copies of and all that. So he went to the department typist with a handwritten paper, and then the typist took up a new paper and started typing. And after the 3 lines, the typist smiled slightly and laughed a bit and suppressed his gag and just started typing again. But Professor Phatak noticed that and he said, "What's funny about it?" He said, "Nothing," and he continued typing. But Dr. Phatak was a curious person, so he just persisted, like, "Tell me what happened." So he said, "No, you have written some instructions here." He said, "Yeah, read it." It says use of calculators is strictly prohibited. So Dr. Phatak said, "Obviously, we don't want them to use calculators in the exams." He said, yeah, but what is the difference between prohibited and strictly prohibited? Is there anything that that differentiates both these things? And that's where Dr. Phatak told me. So when I showed him this slide in one of the presentations, when I was conducting a session for IIT Bombay students on visual design, that is the time he remembered this anecdote, and he said that this typist told me the difference between emphasis and overemphasize. So we see this every now and then on posters, like smoking strictly prohibited and all that. Although there is nothing called as slightly prohibited, right? So prohibited is prohibited. So yeah, I just always remember whenever, even on words that we choose or the design options that we choose, we have to be very careful about how we are not overemphasizing the thing. Yeah, like Gaurav says, too much of good thing also hurts sometimes, right? Yeah, let's go ahead.
So with this, we have some useful, interesting set of guidelines. The first set of guidelines relates to that the content of your presentation and what message you are trying to convey to the audience should decide the color scheme, font, and the design of your presentation. Another important thing that we initially saw when we were listing down the challenges that we face while creating our presentation slides, the main point that we saw was that how to decide what content should go into which slide, or how do we chunk the slides or chunk the content into different slides. So for individual slides, what we recommend is that it is very good to follow a guideline, which is called as the 6x6 rule. We'll have one topic for one slide, but if the topic is going beyond a slide, obviously we'll create more slides on the same topic, but do not cram 2-3 topics into we usually do not do this, but we should not cram multiple topics into one slide. And for adding that breathing space and into our slides, we follow a guideline which says that there should be 6 bullets or less per slide, and for every bullet point that we have, there should be 6 words or less. So, but how do we go about this? So any kind of extra pronouns, adjectives, extra words which are there in the sentence, which can be eliminated in order to shorten the sentence, could be done. But we need to be very careful with this guideline that the content is very important. So this is not a hard and fast rule. It is only finding the balance that whether it is possible to follow this rule, or every time we need to train ourselves in order to make us follow this rule. And we need to have a consistent design for a slide so that they look as if they are the part of the same story that we are trying to tell. In this case, the predefined templates that we have, they play an important role, because The predefined templates are well researched. They have predefined fonts according to the design that they are presenting. Again, the template that we are going to choose for the presentation should be dependent upon the message that we are trying to convey. And regarding the images that we insert in the presentation, again, they should be related to, they should have some purpose in the slide. They should be properly, we talked about this earlier also, they should be properly scaled, they should be properly placed on the slide, and of course, they should be acknowledged. The creator of the image should be given the due acknowledgement. So the message that we have been trying to convey is that the good content and the design of the presentation helps us in creating a effective presentation. So in this case, we have again mentioned that the content, we have talked about the guidelines which are related to the content. And we have also said that the content of the presentation should decide the visuals that are there in the presentation. Usually we have a number of types of graphics that can be included in the presentation. Let me take you to that slide that we had for the Shakespeare. In this slide, we have included these icons, small icons. These are decorative graphics. We have different types of graphics. One example we just wanted to show you is that these icons are decorative graphics. They are adding to the aesthetic appeal of the slide, but they are not kind of conveying the data. We still have to write the text in order to indicate that Shakespeare has written 39 plays. So these icons are basically not conveying that information. The image of Shakespeare that we have on the right-hand side is a representational graphic, which is a portrait of the Shakespeare. So it is kind of indicating, sort of indicating how Shakespeare looked like. So other than these, we have other kind of graphics also. We have organizational graphics, we have relational, we have mnemonics, interpretive graphics. In case if you want to learn more about these graphics, we will share with you a presentation of Dr. Sameer on the different types of graphics and their use in the presentation in week 2, along with the week 2 content as an additional reading material. We will share that presentation with all of you. Okay, at this point, now I have a question for all of you. We are talking about the visuals or the graphics that can be added into the presentation. So in case I have to add a graphic into my presentation, which is showing relationships between the variables or the quantitative relationships between the variables. So can you give me any suggestions regarding the graphics or which I should include in the presentation? In case if I'm designing a presentation where I want to show the quantitative relationships between, I want a relational graphic to be included. What should I actually include in the presentation?
Which content, which graphic can actually show relational data?
And relational specifically to quantitative relationships between data.
Yeah. How can you visualize quantitative data? What will be the best visual for that?
Okay. For percentages, we have pie charts. Yes. Any other way of representing Gaurav's? Okay, we have charts, graphs. Okay, some kind of curvy lines, also donuts. Okay.
Yeah, basically the point here is that what Teji was mentioning, there is a very well researched theory about types of content and types of graphics and what is the correlation between them. So which type of content requires which type of graphics to be shown. And many a times we make a mistake of using the wrong type of graphic for wrong type of content. So yeah, we will be sharing the link to have a look, for you to have a look. But this is a good point. What people are just giving out is a nice point. That for any quantitative data, we can use diagram of like, charts, graphs. Yeah. Let's go ahead.
Yeah. So yes. So now what we are going to see is that we need to include charts and graphs in order to represent relational data in the presentation. So in that regard, we have a sample slide for all of you to see. So this is a slide which is talking about some app, Happify, a mood tracker, a stress checking app. And the slide is also talking about the localization, how the app can be used to suit the foreign language markets. So this is one of the slides which was prepared by my students, and they had included this graph to represent the most spoken languages worldwide by the number of speakers. And this is the graph that they had given me. So what now we are going to do is, can you identify one change that we can make in this graph? Or identify any one problem with this graph? Okay, we have removed the grid lines for clear visibility. Yes. Grids, color, Veena ma'am, color, blue color is fine. Blue color, I can see it is matching with the slide design.
I mean to say we can add different colors. So it can
we can add
some, variety of colors rather than just being blue.
Okay. Okay, legends for languages. But languages is already clear enough. We know, everybody knows about the language. Okay, font size. We can use more than one color. Okay. Font size is too small. Okay, so any other thing? Okay, what X and Y axis represent, it is written. That is marked already. Y axis is written, what is it is representing the number of readers, number of speakers in millions. And the X axis, it already has the languages. And the languages, I think it doesn't need, everybody knows the languages. Okay, reduce the size of the heading. Okay, let us just, we will concentrate only on the graphs now. Only on the graph part. Okay, percentage of speakers in the form of a pie chart. Okay, pie chart, how many slices will be there in the pie chart in this case? And change the color in the type of graph. Yes, we will, okay, color change along the X and Y axis. Okay. Percentage of speakers in pie chart, we'll have to think, because it might need a number of slices in order to represent that. 10 slices, because this is top 10 languages. 10 slices, I think, I'm not sure about it. It is going to be too much for the audience to see. Okay, we'll see. Whatever problems we have already, we'll try to point out. The first and the major problem that we saw was that the text is too small. Right? I also saw this additional shadow thing here. The grid lines was the problem that we saw. The text is too small in this case. See these labels also. The size is also small, and kind of they are also difficult to read because they are tilted, and I have to kind of tilt my head in order to see this. So we will try to incorporate some of the changes that all of you have suggested. So what we'll do is we will try to eliminate these grid lines, these bars. If you have you noticed, everybody, have you noticed that these bars are also 3-dimensional? But the third dimension is nowhere mentioned in the graph. We have only 2 axes, X and Y, and still the graphs are 3-dimensional. So that is another problem that we have. Okay, so what we'll do is, we have now, what we have done is we have removed the grid lines. We have increased these three-dimensional thing is also gone. So what basically we are trying to do is the additional elements that we have in the graph that are not adding to any value of the graph. It is usually termed as chart junk. So we are trying to eliminate that chart junk. We also, I had a problem with the labels, these labels. So is there any way of making the labels straight? Any suggestion for making the labels more readable? Suppose I cannot reduce the text. I am not given the option. I cannot make the size of the text smaller because it is representing a particular language. Like for Chinese, I need to write Mandarin. Okay. Suppose make acronyms are not allowed. So what do I do?
You can prepare a separate chart and write the numbers on them and assign numbers to the tables.
Okay. So in that case, we'll have two, right? Two graphs in that case. What if I convert, okay, of some type of language, infograph, okay. What if I just change the orientation of the graph? See, the axis is same, the data is same, everything is same. Only the x-axis is here now, and the y-axis is the x-axis is here, and the y-axis is at the bottom. This is the only thing that I've done. So, in case one of the most the best way of making or improving the readability, in case if you have long labels, is to change the orientation of the graph. And additionally, what I have done is I have also, initially it was not there. See, in this way it is okay. We can see that the English is the most spoken language worldwide. But when we twisted, it would have come here. So what we can do is we can also arrange the data logically. This has been done in the descending order, starting with the largest value at the top, and then the graph has been created. So one way is this of doing. Another thing what we can do is, in case if I want to highlight the number of users of Hindi, number of speakers of Hindi language. Since we are in India, and suppose I want to highlight how many people are speaking Hindi. Any suggestion? We got that suggestion already. Okay, rotate by 90 degrees, Gaurav. Change colors, indeed. Correct. Very, very nice. So what we can do is we can change the color of we can use color properties in that case in order to highlight a particular. And what another thing that we have done is we have removed that white background also. It is an optional thing. It depends upon the slide design. If the slide background is already white, there is no need to remove the background also. We have done that just in order to blend the chart as if it is the part of the slide itself, and it is not looking patchy. So these again, I am emphasizing once again, these are only one way. This is just one way of doing. There are several ways in which we can use our creativity in order to create different designs. With this, we will come to the graph guidelines. These are the same points that we have just discussed regarding the graphs or charts that we are going to design. We will be sharing this presentation with all of you. So in case you want to just skip the example and directly come to the guidelines while creating your charts and graphs, you can refer to this slide. It is already 6:03, and I think it would be very good time for a short break. Everybody. So we can have a sip of water. We can relax, stretch, and we will continue. We will continue with the next part, but let us make this short break also productive. So what I'll do is I'll put up the next slide for all of you to see while we take a short break. So now what we have is a table in which you have to suggest changes. Now I'm going to just mute myself, and we'll have a break of 2 minutes. Richa and Juhi are really enthusiastic. They're done with the break and with the responses also. Very fast, very good. Oh, Dilip also. Number font is not same. Yes. Oh, okay. We'll talk about that thing also. Font of numbers, same color. Yes, no. Planets can be highlighted. Okay. Another thing. Let us try out. You can also visualize if you have to improve this graph. Just visualize or write it on the piece of paper, or in case if you have your laptop ready, you want to create a design for this, then also it is fine. Okay, name of the planet should be, measurements can come here. Very nice. Okay. Pictorial. So yes. Some are mid-aligned and some are left-aligned. Correct. Table should be one colored. Why have multiple colors for the same thing? Black font on a lighter background is faster. Yes, correct. Graphics can be used. Suppose we don't have the option. We have been asked to make a table only. We can't shift to pie chart. Sorry, Indrani, no pie chart for this. Suppose I want to make this table only better. Oh, GIF images. Yes. But suppose I don't want to show any animation also. In this case, I don't want an animated thing. I want a simple. Parameters, Sandeep is saying parameters can come in the first column and planets can come in rows. Okay, alignment of the headers. Background, everybody had a problem. Alignment also, there was a problem. Okay, so we can also arrange the things. So what we did, what we thought, this is what we visualized. That these are the problems. See, this grid lines, nobody noticed. Everybody is fine with the grid lines which are there. These thick lines, are we okay with these grid lines which are there? Okay, no. Okay, yes and no both. Okay. And we saw the alignment. Certain alignment is left, certain is center, certain is right. There is no fixed alignment which is there, right? And the color of the background, and you also saw that the font was not fine for you. So what we have done is, again, one design suggestion only. We have tried to do this. I hope the color is visible to everybody. So this is what we have tried to do, but this is not, again, the ultimate design. What we have done is we have made one alignment. Usually for the numbers which are there in the table, it is preferred to have a right alignment. Why a right alignment? Because if you just remember that how do we actually start learning numbers and counting numbers from the right hand side. So for the numbers, usually the alignment is right because it makes them easier to read and understand. And what we have done is we have changed the color of the table, of the content that we have, in order to highlight the headings. We have also changed the color, made them all center aligned, and the color of the planets, again, we have changed in order to highlight them. And we have used, again, we had something related to cell spacing, cell padding should be more. This is okay. Okay. Dharna says I like thick. So what we have done is we have kept them thick. The lines are still thick, but the color has been changed. The thickness is same. Why the number of moons has been highlighted. But what happened when I had shown this design to Dr. Sameer, he had a slightly different perspective regarding this. He was saying that this red color which is there is getting more prominence as compared to the number 82.
Yes.
Right, sir? You had this issue now?
Yeah. I had.
So
I wanted to see if everyone else agrees with me. Okay, I will put my case slightly better way. I'll say that whenever we are presenting a slide, why are we making a presentation? We want to put up a point. Now, if my point is that Venus doesn't have water presence, then this slide is perfect, because the first thing I see in the slide is the cross for Venus. But if my slide is about number of moons the Saturn has, then probably this is not the best design, because then it just takes away my attention from the number of moons to the water presence, because it has nice graphics. So this is a point, like kind of food for thought for all of you. When we say that there are multiple ways of doing this, so it depends on what you want to exactly communicate to the audience.
So
okay, by the way, let us ask what would be to bring the point towards the number of moons. If number of moons is my agenda,
okay.
If number of moons is my agenda, how we can do that? How can we give
so what we are going to do? So should we ask everybody? Everybody, do you want to give a suggestion? Yes. Okay. Suppose we are now talking about these two values, 82 and the red mark. We want to highlight 82 further by so that the focus is on the number of moons that Venus has, that Saturn has, instead of this water presence thing. Any suggestion? Fill the box with some color. Yes. We can write yes, no in water presence. Yes. Yes, that is also a very good idea. We can also fill the color. Change the color here to some color that we want to highlight. Yes. Same color for both the things to be highlighted. Okay. Okay, so let me just try out something.
Yeah, actually, one more hint I would like to give you is, all of us are talking about lending emphasis to the object that we want to emphasize. But there is also a method of reducing the emphasis of other things in order to make this prominent. So that is also one option. So think about it also. So for example, red is the problem here. Let us attack red. However, number of attractive features we built for 82 words, still it is not going to do that, right?
So let us just try out. Let me remove the guides. What if I change the color? See, we have chosen a very, very bright red for this one. What if we come down and come to a slightly darker red here? And probably also reduce the size and make it less prominent.
Maybe a lighter red rather than darker red.
Or a lighter red. This one. I think this one is looking better. The focus is now on, let us just see. Everybody, what do you say?
Can you do the same thing for green and make the number of moons in a different color probably?
Let me reduce the size to 20 or 18 for everybody. This green is very light. I think now this is looking better than the earlier one.
Better as in what we wanted to communicate. So it is better suitable for what we wanted to say. as compared to what it was actually communicating. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
That's the only point. So there is no. Okay, go ahead.
Yes. Yes. So what we have, I'm just going to list down quickly. What we did was we had changed the highlighting for this rows and the columns in order to make them stand out. We have also used icons in place of. This is one possibility, that when you are creating tables, if you have yes and no options, then you can make use of these yes tick marks, or you can use other icons also. And we have used this typography feature in order to highlight the number of moons that are there. So these are the certain possibilities. We have listed down the guidelines also here for your future reference. So with this, we come to the end of the first part of the session. Now,
Actually,
Ambali is here for the.
Actually, if you can go back to the slide, previous slide. So here is another
This
use
one.
of iconography and color scheme. So the green patch on the left hand side, which has a star on it, is used for guideline slides. So whenever you get a chance to download our slides, you can just go to the slide sorter very quickly and look out for all the slides which have the stars. And that, if you
Maybe
can,
I think I should,
and print it out, then you can show the slide sorter view probably. And now you can see that the slides having the stars can be easily identified, and these can be picked up and go for a print in case you want to just save this guideline. So the point I'm making is that you can have such subtle cues in your design. So what Daisy has done is a way in which she is trying to communicate, and if that is used, I think that would make it very interesting for all.
Okay. So everybody, now it is time for some activity, and Ambali is here.
Okay. So we'll come to the activity. We have planned a very interesting activity for you all, so that you can apply the visual design guidelines that we have discussed just before. So
yeah, by the time the thing gets set up, from all the way north in Ludhiana, now we go all the way south to Alleppey in Kerala, from where Ambali is joining us. And Ambali is like Daisy just mentioned in the beginning. She's electrical engineer expert, but I know her more as a presentation person and another person who loves to kind of put her hands into any new technology you tell her about. So you tell her that, okay, there is new software for something like this. Yes. From north to south and from west, like, so yeah. So I am kind of in the middle of things and then trying to do this. And you are on the totally on the horizontal side. So yeah, it's a very interesting thing what we are currently experiencing thanks to the lockdown. And we can just do that. So Ambali is a expert on getting the new softwares cracked. So whenever we have a new software to be cracked, we go to her and say that, okay, somebody has told her about something called an Edpuzzle, and can you figure out what is it, and things like that. But today's activity is mainly to get all of you doing something that you have been watching and observing and all that. So the guidelines slide, yes, they are interesting. So yeah, now is the time to actually put this into use, probably, right, Ambali?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. So the activity goes like this. Observe the sample images that will be shown on the screen. Then evaluate the sample images based on the rubric and the criteria that will be also shared. Then record the scores and share your score with all of us through the chat window. So we'll be showing you how this can be done. Yes. So here is it, how to evaluate the rubric. So as you see here, this is our sample image. Yes. This is our sample image, and below that you can see a criteria. So here the criteria is use of color. Okay, so based on this criteria and the rubric levels, that is here, you can award marks from low to high. Okay, so low, medium, high, we have 3 levels here. So suppose if you are feeling like this slide has appropriate colors used, all colors are having appropriate contrast, so then you can give the award the mark as high. Okay, so this is how we do the activity. Now next, yes, so here is a table. So I suggest all of you to draw this table on your notepad, and it's having 3 columns, like list down the criteria, then the sample image number, and also leave the mark column with mark as blank. So we'll be filling it up here. So we suggest you to draw this is for like for your future reference. So this entire activity is actually a subjective one, and it changes with time. So you can refer what you have given the scores earlier. So like that, for your future reference, you can draw a column now, draw a table on your notepad, and let's begin. So if you have done this, put a message in the chat that you have done, finish drawing the table. I draw a table with 3 columns, list down the criterias. We have 7 criterias here. Okay. We have got the first done. Then the sample list the sample image numbers. Okay. Let's wait for 2 more dones and then we'll go ahead. Yes. Okay. So I think yes. Now we will follow a particular format for sharing the score. 1 second. Okay, we will follow a particular format, that is type in the chat the sample image number hyphen your score. So for example, if the sample image number is 2, write it so, then hyphen, then write your score, whether it is low, medium or high. Okay, so this is how you are going to share the score with all of us. Next. Okay, so let's begin with our first criteria, that is use of fonts. Here you can see 2 images, 1A and 1B. First, let's evaluate image 1A based on the criteria use of fonts. Okay, so what will be your score for this sample image? Is it low, medium or high? The rubric is also given. Okay, 0, 1, okay. Yes. Yes, we are getting responses for 0 and medium, and none has gone for high. Okay, so the suggested score is that we can go with medium, because there are 2 fonts being used here, but they are not readable totally, right? So that is it. Then now let's evaluate image 1B for the same criteria, usage of font. Okay. 1B, okay. Medium. Medium. Yes. Does anyone want to unmute and say why they have given the score as medium? I think most of them have gone with 1. And Professor Sandeep says 2. Okay. Does anyone want to unmute and say the reason?
Too much data basically on the slide, and the right hand side of the data, it is not very clearly visible to
Let us focus on the criteria, not beyond that criteria. Now let us do it on the usage of fonts.
variety, many font types.
Okay.
Yes. We are only restricting to the usage of fonts. So we will not look into number of words, number of other thing, even number of images, colors. We are not looking at that. We are trying to objectively look at it from one criteria at a time. Later on, we can maybe have a discussion about it also, but that's okay.
The other criteria are coming up. Yes. So it is advisable to go with medium here also, because the some font options here are unnecessarily kept. That is, you can see the second last sentence, it's made into italics, but that is meaningless. Okay. So that is about the usage of fonts. Next, let's evaluate this image based on the use of color that we saw in the sample image initially. What do you think? The score, can it be low, medium, or high? And why? If you want to give the reason, you can give it in the chat itself. Otherwise, if you want to unmute, go ahead. Dull color. Okay. Professor Dilip Kumar says he goes with medium due to the color, dull color. Okay. Dr. Priya says 2. Okay, medium. Yes. So Dr. Vinod also says 2. Oh, that is high. Okay.
Yeah. So most of them are agreeing that the colors are appropriate because I think it is about ICT and blue is matching it and white is having a good contrast and things like that. Some of them are, I think, focusing on some unnecessary colors, which is the, I don't know what we can call it, like a traffic light with multiple colors and rangoli at the bottom. But yeah, it's okay. Yeah, that's the noise, right? Okay, let's go next, maybe.
Yes. Now, evaluate based on criteria, slide background. Okay, medium. Okay, that is, I think, medium because the background makes it difficult to read some part, like the title, beginning of the title, I think it's a bit difficult to read. Yes, so most of the responses are for medium. Okay, now next. Yes, the criteria here is alignment. Okay. Medium. Medium. Yes. So all are for medium. Okay. Some text is aligned, but in cohesive, non-cohesive manner. Yes. It's not that properly aligned. For reading, it's not that easy. Right. Yes. Next criteria. Criteria here is use of images. What do you think? Professor Neha says medium. Okay. Can anyone unmute and say the reason here for the images, why they have given that score?
So, ma'am, I feel that these images are like a little better images could have been taken.
Yes.
From the grid only itself. I am telling because I can relate both the things,
Yes.
and yeah, I mean that is why I feel it should be one.
Okay.
I mean medium.
Okay. And what about the referencing?
Yeah.
Yes, I cannot find any referencing also. I mean, I cannot see if
Yes.
any is there.
Yes.
That is why I am again.
Subed had written a nice thing, like they have said youth and they're showing kids.
Yeah.
That is nice. Yeah.
The
Yes, so
title and the content.
Sandeep changed from 1 to 0 immediately after he heard that. That's nice.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. Then
Got the message.
image included is irrelevant as far as the content is concerned. Then the other thing is the image is not referenced. Yes.
Priya has raised her hand, so maybe go ahead, Priya.
Actually, I think can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it says promotes unity, teamwork, leadership, and the image sort of correlates with those, but not planning, coordination, and judgment.
Okay, so quick reflection question on that. We just mentioned types of visuals in the last session, right? So which type of visual will this be now? Anyone else?
Are them joining their hands together?
Okay, no. Which type of visual is this? Is it a relational graphic? Is it a transformational graphic? Is it a decorative graphic? Is it a organizational graphic?
Close to decorative. It is not exactly representing. There are a lot of aspects described, but when I see the images, I'm not able to correlate.
Yes, but yeah, I agree. It could be close to decorative because it is just serving the purpose of catching your eye attention, but it is not actually giving you any data more than that. So it is not promoting unity, teamwork, leadership, planning, coordination, and first of all the text behind that saying youth sports and all that. It is only creating noise rather than voice. Yeah, good. So let's go ahead.
Also remember to reference whenever you put an image in your presentations, do reference it. That is putting the source from where you have taken it. So that is also missing here. So next. Yes. Now here the criteria is size of images. We have 2 images. First let's evaluate 6A. What do you think regarding the size of images? 0. Yes. Does anyone like to mention the reason, like unmute and speak? Why? I think most of them have gone with 0.
Ma'am, images are too small, you cannot see it again. That is the primary reason why I have given 0.
Yes. Here, when we can see that the image of cocoa bean is much clear and large, the table is also fine, good enough, but the graphs, like the images of the countries, are small. So images are either too tiny or too big. So I think we can go with, the good suggestion is to go with the score low. Now let's evaluate 6D. 6B, 2, yes, high. Okay, yes. So 6B as far, it is, yes. Most of the responses, yes, all the responses are for 2. Okay, so 6B, when we see, we can say that the text, the statistics, all are readable, right? The image is totally scaled properly. The title also is readable, and the logo is also visible. Even the image is referenced. Okay, so we can go with the score high here. That is the good suggestion. Yes. Next criteria. Yes. So we have come to the last and the final criteria, that is overall impact. So the same image was shown for criteria 1, that is usage of fonts. So apart from that, what all can you identify, like from this regarding the overall impact criteria, and what will be your score? If anyone wants to unmute, can do, because it is the final slide, final criteria. Yes, we are receiving responses for low and medium. Okay, does anyone want to unmute? Confused. Okay. So when we take this criteria, that is, we can see that some part of the text is lying on the right side, right? That is, they are not placed properly. Also, we can see that green triangles are lying on the left and right side, which are just meaningless. Moreover, it is overlapping with the content, the text that is on the screen. Then we can also see 2 simple thin lines crossing over the slides on the right side. So that could also be avoided. Okay, then 0. Okay, the professor who is confused is now going with 0. Okay, we can also see that the bullet size, that is also not uniformly kept. So the regarding the criteria of overall impact, we can it is advisable to go with low, which fails to communicate. So the entire evaluation is actually subjective and it changes with time. So once if you if you give it for low, next time when you evaluate, it may change. Okay. So with this, we have come to the end of the activity, and I think the same activity can be done with your presentations. Once you have created, you can do a self-evaluation with these criteria and make awesome presentations. Yes.
With this, we come to the next part where we got the queries regarding the presentation design. We had a query regarding the templates, that whether we can provide some useful resources from where some interesting templates or icons can be downloaded. So we have collated a list of the sites from where you can download free templates. These are very interesting websites which list down the templates according to the various subjects. In case if you want to search for educational, even if you want to create something which is related to dissertations or thesis, then you can download the presentation templates from here. And in case if you want to add jazz, zing to your presentations, then you can also add icons. And the good places to download icons is from these websites. This one is my personal favorite. This was suggested by Dr. Samir, and after that I have been hooked to this website, the Noun Project. And we have another website which is Flaticon. So with this, we have come to the end of today's session. We hope that you use these guidelines, templates, suggestions that we have provided today and create engaging presentations for your audience. And we are also now open for any questions. These are under Creative Commons. These are freely downloadable. Especially the Noun Project, if you go and check out, we have provided the links actually of the slides of these websites here. Once we give you the presentation, you can check out the links from here.
It's hyperlinked. You can take it
hyperlinked, yes.
Oh, I hope the total score given just now is not for this presentation, but
no, sir. It was for the activity which we did. So I thought I have done the activity, just giving a total score, तो पूछा ही नहीं.
I was like scared to see that message. I didn't know what to say. So I had to switch on my camera and immediately talk about it.
No, sir, but you know that our student also says, "Ma'am, आपने activity कराई और score नहीं पूछा." So I am your student, and I am asking why you have not asked for total score.
Okay. So, okay, I have couple of things to discuss with all of you. The first and the foremost is that we were just going through some of the submissions that we have during the last thing. So, some good news and some bad news. Some good news is that some people have literally tried their best to try and communicate to us about what could be their plan for the whole thing. On the other hand, the submissions are not too many. So yeah, I assume people are gearing up and stuff like that. So probably that is the reason. There could be a reason that people have not understood. So they are in a dilemma about what is to be submitted and how and all that. There is also a possibility that people have collaborated and submitted. So instead of a single thing, they have submitted with someone. In all conditions, I have a couple of things to tell you about, and the outline part is pretty much the domain specific thing, like what we want to as a department, what is the MOOC that we are trying. I got a call from Professor Katare from IT, and he asked me some question, which was a very relevant question, and I suppose he has forwarded my answer to all of you. And the question was that if we have a 1 week content about something first week, and we have 7 people in this, and couple of people are having their content in week 3 and week 4 and all that, should they be also doing some chunking assignment for their week 2 and week 3 things, or they are supposed to just be silent this time, and whenever we talk about week 2 and week 3, they will be suddenly active? So the answer to that is like, there is no such thing about the week structure is only limited to the first assignment, where you decide what is the content of the overall course. It is just to give you a perspective about, is it heavy, is it light, is it daunting, and all such things. At that point, I remember somebody had asked me, like, is there a place where you can get these information about the duration of a MOOC and effectiveness of a MOOC? Is there a kind of option available to see all that? So I remembered this question asked in the very first session by someone. So I'm just going to share my web page. Okay. And show you something. Let it just load up. Okay, I can see that now. So can I share my screen now?
Yes.
So the name of the researcher is Katie Jordan. Also, it is written, the page may not display in Internet Explorer or Google Chrome browsers, but I am using Chrome right now. But yeah, Firefox would be much better for this. I'll do that later on. But it is sufficiently okay right now to have a look at it. The researcher's name is Katie Jordan. She's a very famous researcher in the area of MOOCs, and she has generated excellent graphs analyzing lots of MOOCs across the world. Okay, so now she has thought about like 25,000 students to 230,000 students, so such kind of MOOCs. And so you can see here the percent. So this is the completion rate and the assessment type wala graph, which is comparing this thing. So then there is a thing of completion rate and the course length. This is what is very important to all of us. So look at this. This is the percentage of completion. Starts from 10% and very heavily populated in this domain. On the other hand, 50% completion is the last row here. There is nothing beyond that also. So means that percentage of people passing beyond 50 is very less. Only one course we saw that, which has more than 50% passing, which is 60% actually. But if you look at the duration of the course, it is the majority of courses lie in the under 10 weeks category, and very few about 20 weeks category. So one of the course which has a success rate of 3.2% is a 23-week course, right? And on the other hand, if you look at the maximum number of passing and the minimum number of weeks is here, which is a childhood ED1, which is a 4-week course, and a percentage of completion is 41%. So this actually gives you very interesting data about you can actually choose, and this website has a very interesting interface. I'm sure on Firefox it should be very interesting. I'm just going to copy the link to all of you, and so you can actually have a look at it. But this gives you a lot of interesting permutation combination that you can see to tell you that what is the best possible duration for the completion. So, and it's a very evidence-based data. So that solves the question of someone, I don't remember who asked this, that is there data available of the duration of things and completion? If he or she is present in this session today, they can just acknowledge that they got the answer, or if there was anything else that they had asked for. Okay, I've seen some consultant training using a lot of images and very few words. Will it be effective for students? Okay, this is a good question. Professor Ramana is asking whether using, consultant trainers, especially the corporate ones, use lots and lots of graphics. Like again, I would repeat that use of graphics has to be understood in the context. So I'm just again going to share my screen to tell you how we can reach there. So okay, this is my website. We are anyway going to put this up in the content that is going to be on VLE. Okay, so this is my website, and if you go to talks tab here, then you will get all the talks that I have given so far, and here down somewhere under visual communication you will have a slide called session 2 execute. Now in this slide of presentation skills, I am going to recap first and then go ahead with, this is the part. So how to add graphics is the part here, which is the third part. So you have to really go down faster. Okay, but this is the screen that you may be interested in. So for the particular function of the graphic, this is what actually it implies. So the decorative graphics will only add aesthetic appeal or humor. So the ones what you are mentioning, Dr. Ramana, are the ones which are mainly for aesthetic appeal. That is just people working on computers and some having coffee and blah blah. So these slides are only for aesthetic appeal and to give some visual listing. Also, if it's a very overall kind of topic like mindfulness and maybe what is that, open-ended discussions, then these kind of graphics make sense because they really don't have to do this. But when you are talking about thermodynamics course, then you probably can't go away with such fancy graphics and stuff like that. But that's the point when the other graphics come into play, like representational graphic, which object is presented in the realistic fashion, which could be, in nowadays this is a new thing of a screen capture, because a lot of time you are talking about some software and other things. So screen capture or a photograph, painting makes an important thing. Mnemonic is likely less used. It's like the visual cue for something. So yeah, you can, mnemonic graphics are typically like anything at a very high altitude will be shown in red color and then brown and then it goes to blue. So the map has this representation kind of thing, the legend typically. So all these things are mnemonic graphics. Then there are organizational graphics, which will show qualitative relationship. And the example is kind of a map, right? So where you have maybe a golf course or a campus map and things like that, but it will just show qualitative relationship that hostel number 10 is away from the main gate, and maybe hostel 3 is much nearer by. So some kind of such relationship is established. But if you have to have quantitative relationship, then you can't go with the map unless it is to the scale. But then the graphs and pie charts and all that will come into play. And then there are transformational graphics which will show changes over time. There are interpretive graphics which will have some arrows and which will have boxes, explanations, which will have color coding, which will have dotted lines, multiple things used for illustrating a theory or a principle. So these are types of graphics. So if you really pay attention to these things, probably it will help you in choosing the right kind of graphics. I've added some examples here, and this is another interesting slide that you may want to have a look at. So what types of content and what types of graphics are typically useful to be married to each other is what is there. And this is a very famous research by two of the researchers, Clark and Lyons, and there's a very nice book called as Graphic for Learning, and so I have taken it from that book. So yeah, so that is pretty much I just wanted to tell you in terms of yeah, the question why, like, when will it be effective for students without industry experience? So yeah, this is what I can say. Anything else that you had to ask me? So quickly summarizing, we have just last 10 minutes. So to summarize, we will have some more activities this week. As I said, the objective of this whole workshop is that you should be able to create your own content at the end of the day. And I will repeat that MOOC is typically a collective effort. MOOC is never an individual effort. Never is a very strong word. I have a MOOC which I have done myself alone, but there were so many people who were helping me in getting these things done. But the successful MOOCs are mostly when you collaborate with somebody, because the first and the foremost thing what happens is that you get a diversity of viewpoints. Like instead of just saying that, okay, I want to explain a particular topic in this manner, the history or whatever topic we have chosen, the moment you get another speaker and then you have a discussion, you can come up with multiple points, and then that enriches the overall experience for the learners, because learners also come from diversified backgrounds and curiosities and objectives, so it makes sense for them at the end of the day. So my suggestion is that always try and figure out who could be your partner in making a MOOC, and try and interact as much as you can with these people so that you can better your overall theme of the whole course. The second is that my suggestion is that please take these activities very seriously, because these activities will tell you a lot about how you're doing. Dr. Katare told me this very interesting thing, that when we recorded our own sessions, we realized the kind of mistakes we were doing. So this is precisely the point. That unless you lay out a plan, because it's fine to think like, okay, we'll do this, ye karenge, wo karenge. But when you actually put it upon pen and paper, you can realize that what are the loopholes and what needs to be addressed, and how all these things actually suddenly start making sense. So my suggestion to all of you is that you try and participate as much as you can, interact with your group member, and try to come up with more questions for us, so that we can answer it, because we have already been there for 2 sessions now, like 2 weekends have gone, and we are almost towards the middle portion of our workshop or FDP. So yeah, I would be happy to answer a question next 5 minutes if you have any.
There is a question in the chat from Professor Ramana.
What is that?
That what is the significance of the different types of bullets that we have? That is it going to make any difference if we use like a circle that disk thing that we have, or an arrow, or a star in case, or any other notation?
Yeah. Yeah. The choice of bullets is mostly personal choice. It has very few times it has direct significance unless you are using very what to say, closely mapped images. For example, a presentation on medical thing has a plus or something like that. So very few times that you will get a chance to do that. Most of the things are visually what to say, providing the indentation, what is required, the subsectioning, whatever you want to do that. But my suggestion all the time has been that what is important has to be decided. Let us maybe can you open the slide maybe? No, I think I have it, right? You have shared with me. So,
otherwise, I will show.
No, I have it. I'll just open it. But I want to. It is better that I tell what I want to do with this. Okay, so we are using this present with Panache, what we just had through the last 2 hours. Okay, so this is the thing, right? Now we go somewhere here probably. Okay, can you see the slide?
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is having the black circles. Now there are multiple ways of which you can do that, and if you go here, you will get this also. Now look at the look and feel of the whole thing. What is that you realize? And maybe if I change this to maybe this, and now if I change this to black. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So this is what you can see. The difference in colors and difference maybe, yeah, we can use this, and here if we can use something else, maybe you can have, okay, this one. So what I normally believe is that your non-content image should not overpower your content image. So the content area or content text is this. So this should be seen first, not this. So if you have such a striking bullet, then the arrows will take all the attention and the content will take a backseat. So that is why we can just double think in terms of avoiding such a thing. So maybe I'll just copy this. Daisy, I'm kind of messing up with your presentation right now. But we may have to put it back into all. Okay. So yeah, so this is the star one, and this is the one which is a very normal one with this, right? So look at the communication now. So yeah, it's very clear looking at these things, right? Any other question? Okay. No question raises multiple doubts for me, and lot of serious questions for me. But I hope I am wrong. So let us meet tomorrow. Just to give a short trailer into what we are going to get it tomorrow is we are actually going to start with the content part of a book, which is a video. So we are going to look at script writing for a video of your course, and we are going to, so my suggestion is all of you who have a topic in their mind can keep your scripts ready with you for tomorrow's session. Yes, the sound, yeah. I have really amazing company out here actually. I just have to look out of my house and very soothing sounds as a background thing for me. And so that is what is planned for tomorrow. So I am so happy that people are noticing these sounds also, in addition to what I am saying. And let me look forward to your scripts tomorrow, and we will try to see how we can make those scripts interesting for making it engaging for the learners. That's the plan for tomorrow. So yes, I think we are here at 7 o'clock. I think we can stop here if everything is all right. Great. Like always, thank you, Professor Rohit, for this organization. I look forward to the video recording so that we can put it up on the end. Yeah, I think you can send it directly to Sumit and he will take care of it. And yeah, great.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Daisy, you will see Ambili Joseph calling the shots tomorrow. And
Yes. We in fact have a slide also. If we can show for the Saturday release, last slide that we have.
show that. Yeah. I'll stop. On this presentation itself, right?
Probably you will find it just slightly up.
Okay, yeah.
Down, sir, down. I'll tell you the number. 47.
Yes.
So this is our Saturday movie release.
Yes. Oh, yeah. This is the trailer. Like every film company will adopt the strategy of putting a sneak peek. So this is what, from video monologues to learning dialogues. That's the agenda for tomorrow. So yes. Have a good evening and see you tomorrow with some scripts, and we'll take it from there.
Sure.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.